The world of Warframe is packed to the brim with various villains and rogues that would like nothing more than to see your soul dashed across the stars. But among this constant cavalcade of threats, there is one entity that may very well stand above them all. A figure whose very essence could be considered unknowable. And yet despite that, each piece of info we learn about them only serves to add another stroke to an increasingly terrifying painting showcasing potentially one of the single largest threats to the entirety of the Warframe universe. Today on Lore 101, we are talking about the Man in the Wall, also known as the Indifference, the Lidless Eye, or as some of the Warframe community call him, Wally! Imagine the crossover. The Man in the Wall is an incredibly mysterious and almost eldritch individual who assumes the form of whoever it's talking to while also donning a sadistic grin and eyes made from the void itself. They are frequently found trying to interact with people they consider unique and interesting, while simultaneously trying to make strange deals with them like the world's least obvious Fey trap. The greater purpose of these deals remains unknown, but always carry with them a sinister undertone. Warning that this Lore 101 is going to heavily reference some previous episodes, namely these three. I highly recommend you watch them. The Man in the Wall is kind of difficult to talk about because we simultaneously have so much information about their appearances, events they've been involved with, things they've done, while also having little to no information about who they actually are, their intentions, their full capabilities, etc. They're like a kid in high school that you know was like a part of every club. You'd always see them pop up here and there, but hardly anyone really knew who they were or what they were into. Oh yeah, Wally, I've seen him around. He's always up to, I don't know, something. I wouldn't say I know the guy personally, though. He's doing what to a space hole? Case in point, for those of you that have been watching the Lore 101 episodes, you've actually seen Wally twice already. In order of the Warframe timeline, he first appeared in the Albrecht and Trotty episode. He was the spooky doppelganger Big Al encountered when he first entered the Void Dimension. He was also the one that got some of his fingers cut off, and remember that because it will come up later in a potentially nerve-wracking way. The second time we see good old Wally is aboard the Zeramin after the big freak accident that launched it into the Void. Remember how the Tenno got their Void powers by making a deal with a mysterious doppelganger entity? Yup, same guy. So you got two instances. First, the case of the worst vibe check ever that ends up being the starting point of all Void technology. And second, a handshake deal with some traumatized kids that ends up eventually creating the entire premise of the video game. After those two instances, the Man in the Wall may have gotten up to even more shenanigans had it not been for one tragic badass named Rel. I'll talk more about Rel in our upcoming Every Warframe video because by the void he deserves it, but giving a basic summary, he was one of the other Tenno on the Zeramin when everything went down. However, he was always the outcast, and not by choice, everyone just pushed him away. I believe it's been confirmed that Rel is at least autistic coded, meaning he displayed a lot of traits like repetitive actions, difficulty identifying emotions, and getting overwhelmed by too many sensations that caused the other Tenno and the Orokin to view him as strange and a liability, so they largely left him to fend for himself. However, due to his rather profound intelligence and years spent regulating his own mind and emotions, he became acutely aware of the Man in the Wall and the potential dangers it posed. He eventually teamed up with the Red Veil, a faction you can find in-game, to perform a ritual that would keep Wally at bay in exchange for Rel being the one to essentially hold the door closed on him all by himself. And because Rel's body was mortal and would eventually expire, he was forced to transfer his soul into his Warframe Haro to prolong his life, forsaking his own body. If I'm understanding correctly, if Rel hadn't done this, Wally would have been able to get at the other Tenno, aka you, when they were put in cryosleep at the end of the Old War. What this would have meant, we don't know for sure. He probably wouldn't have destroyed the Tenno, because he could have done that back on the Zeramin, but it definitely wouldn't have been good. But Rel kept them safe for hundreds of years, sacrificing his humanity for people that honestly treated him like garbage. Unfortunately, as centuries passed and Wally kept whittling him down and whittling him down, Rel would eventually go insane, losing his mind as well as his body. Sometime into the game, the player is able to finally lay Rel to rest, thus transferring the burden of dealing with Wally to themselves. And after this point in the story, things were relatively chill for a bit. Having Wally inside our heads basically only meant that he would pop into our ship as a clone of us every once in a while, say some vague junk, and then go away. Nothing that harmful. So long as we could keep things like this, he might be manageable. Hey, Ballas. Hello. I thought you got sent to a farm during the fall of the Orokin. Nope. The plot won't let me go away. What you got there? A button that'll open a bunch of void portals into our reality. You're not gonna press it, are you? I am. Ballas, you have consistently made the worst decisions in life. Everything you have done has come back to bite you. Please, just this once, just don't be you. Just please be chill. Why? I probably have mommy issues. So yeah, this guy Ballas, an extremely problematic Orokin royal that we've touched on a couple of times, somehow managed to survive the fall of the Orokin and the centuries that the Tenno were asleep. And at some point, way later into the story of the game, he does a bunch of stuff we won't get into yet that ends with his life expiring and a bunch of void portals opening. And because of that, the man in the wall is now more powerful than ever. Almost each update adding another problem, another chess piece to the board that we have to be mindful of. You look to one corner of the origin system and you'll see the Void Angels. Humans corrupted by the Void into horrifying abominations, desperately tearing at the membrane between our reality and the Void, trying to set their master free. Look to another corner and you'll find the Murmur, geometric monstrosities hailing from a place deep in the Void known as the Great Indifference. And yes, another name for Wally is the Indifference, while the Great Indifference is an actual place in the Void, so I guess Wally's just not that great. At the command of the man in the wall, they are constantly attempting to break out of the lab of Albrecht and Trotty so that they may further spread into the origin system. And also this, I don't know if this is like Wally's true form or something, but it can't be good. Now see, I don't think you get it. You want to know how powerful Wally is now? How cooked we all might be? He canonically helped make crossplay a thing in the game. No, that's not a joke. This is Baro Katir, also known as the Void Trader. He's a merchant in the game whose whole shtick is that he frequently travels into the Void and sells whatever he finds there to the Tenno every couple of weeks. When crossplay was finally implemented in Warframe, everyone got a message from Baro saying that during his most recent trip into the Void, he encountered a rather dashing individual. Remember, Wally takes the form of whoever he's interacting with, so Baro's basically calling a clone of himself Dashing, this freaking guy. But anyways, Baro explains that he made a deal with this mysterious entity, and it's because of that deal that crossplay even exists. They made crossplay into a lore point. Hey, you all get crossplay now! Yay! Sure, you'll get crossplay, but only in a way that teases just how much of a problem the big bad can be.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
And you might think, what more could a being like this want? I don't know, maybe the ability to break time itself? Remember me mentioning how Wally lost a couple of his fingers? Well, during one of the most recent quests, Whispers in the Walls, this fish brain thing named Fibonacci, don't worry about it, said a line that caught my attention. So long as the Indifference is missing a digit, it is confined to the strands of Kra. Now we know that the Indifference is just another name for Wally, and digit is another word for finger. But what are the strands of Kra? Sounds like a noodle dish you'd get overcharged for. Kra translates to time, the actual chain of cause and effect itself. So long as the man in the wall is missing a finger, he is confined to the strands of time. And if he were to not be, the theories alone could bring someone to madness. Now up till now I said that Wally lost several fingers during his first encounter with Big Al. However, as some people in the comments of my Big Al video said, whenever we actually see Wally, it appears he's only missing one finger. Yet, going back over my notes and research, I still found several mentions in-game that specifically say Wally lost digits, plural, multiple fingers. Now, I haven't been able to find confirmation. If it's out there, let me know, but this leaves me with some theories. A, it's some kind of retcon, which wouldn't really line up since the mention of multiple fingers being severed has appeared even as recently as the Duviri update back in 2023. B, Wally is able to regenerate, which if that's the case, why would some characters be worried about him finding his fingers? C, it's some other kind of lore justification that I haven't been able to find yet. Or D, my personal favorite, this entire time, for the past 11 years, while we've been fighting the Grineer, the Corpus, the Infestation, Wally's been at work, slinking through the shadows, slowly but surely using his machinations to gather up one finger at a time, full-on Sukuna style. And now he's just one away from being able to flip the entire chessboard. As for what he would do if he acquired that power, or why he wants it in the first place, we have no idea. This is one of the characters that you will see people constantly making theories about. Maybe he's trying to turn the origin system into another extension of the void, a realm of limitless chaos like a slightly less creepy Bill Cipher. Maybe he wants to simply create a realm of uniqueness and constant change, both good and bad, similar to, say, Zeech from 40K. Regardless, what we do know is that every day a new hand emerges from a different wall of the room, and they're closing in. Most every other faction has no idea Wally even exists, meaning they're all ripe for the taking. So be prepared, Tenno, because you might only know he's here when the tapping within your mind is overtaken by a demented laugh that echoes from here to Tau. That work for you? We'll see. Vague. Cool. Get out of my library. If you say so, kiddo. I'll be watching. Remember, this could have all been avoided if the Orokin would have just taken care of their solar system. Environmentalism stops eldritch threats.